This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Veltima Fungicide, the proven #1 for the toughest corn diseases with long-lasting residual. When you need to be confident your fungicide will perform. I'm Ty Higgins. Make sure and check out the Northwest Ohio Antique Machinery Show at the Hancock County Fairgrounds through Sunday. The website is nwoama.com for all the details. And the local Connection Ag County Fair Tour second stop is coming up on Monday with a check presentation going to the Scioto County Junior Fair Board. You'll notice throughout this year's Ohio State Fair that we're feeding you the results first with Kalmbach Feeds. We had our first grand drive on Wednesday in the sheep barn. Levi Richards is with Kalmbach Feeds. He's their program director of the Formula of Champions program. I told him that I heard from a showman earlier in the week at a county fair that you can know the animal's bloodline, break them, work them, but really it all comes down to what you feed them if you want that banner.
You know, I think the game has gotten so much more challenging and so difficult here and such a high stakes, you know, even at the county fair level. But boy, the show here has gotten so tough and so hard to compete in. I think you have to have every little detail working in your favor, and feed's a huge part of that. So I think you're right.
How long has that been the mindset that feed is just that much more important than it was maybe even 10 years ago?
Right. Well, you know, I think we've been bringing sheep here for 15 years, you know, so thinking back to then, you know, we've used show feed to do the bulk of our nutritional work. But since then, boy, the supplements and diverse amount of supplements out there to really tweak these things and fine tune them has gotten so extreme, and there's so many options out there, you just can't leave any detail out.
Customization, though, is going to be key here, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all approach anymore.
No.
So what does that process look like?
Well, it's tough. You know, we use a concept called feeding the phenotype. You know, what the animal is look like is how we decide, you know, how to feed them, what products to use. And we can get, you know, 80% there or 70% there with a base feed, but we go by how they handle, how they look. Do we need fat? Do we need muscle? Do we need some definition? Do we need to pull some fat? Things like that to really decide what top dresses, what additives they need to be on, you know, to go above and beyond those complete feeds as our baseline.
You mentioned just how competitive this show is at the Ohio State Fair. The breeders have a lot to do with that. We have some fantastic breeders throughout Ohio and really the Midwest. Where do they fit into the equation as far as finding the right formula?
You know, so the breeders have gotten more involved, and it's almost become a little bit of a team effort, you know, and really trying to make the most of these of the animals, the livestock. And a lot of times the breeders will get involved because they know how that bloodline, maybe how that flush, how, you know, the sheep out of that sire or dam have fed in the past. So we're able to kind of use that to really work for our advantage there.
How does what the judge looks for change what you do? Because it's a different perspective. You have 10 different judges looking for 10 different things, but really the trends are the same throughout the shows. How do you keep up with what that judge is looking for?
That is a really good question, and I could open a whole, you know, another can of worms. So here's where it's really important to know who the judge is going to be. You know, there's some mixed feelings on, you know, putting the judge's name out there early enough, but if we know that judge's taste and how he wants them to handle, how much fat he wants on them, how trim we need to keep them, boy, we can really use that in deciding how to feed those things and really make the most of our projects then.
Levi Richards, he's a program director for Kalmbach's Formula of Champions program. Appreciate your time, and good luck to you and your family this week.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Time to check the forecast, brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the #1 fastest growing and largest Ohio-based independent seed company. Here's Ryan Martin.
We're watching a big weather system come together and move through the upper Midwest, Iowa, Illinois, those areas here this afternoon and evening, but it's not going to be knocking on the door till overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. I think that it is going to give us a wet weekend, scattered showers and thunderstorms all day Saturday, part of Sunday, and we could see a long tail on Monday as well. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Join Dean Farms in Bryan, that's Williams County, August 5th, the Northwest Ohio Premier Soil Health Field Day. $25 for admission. You can call or text for reservations. Alan's number is 419-553-6845. Make sure and do that before tomorrow. We'll get a check of the markets and analysis next on the Ohio AgNet. This has been a wild year to grow corn and soybeans in Ohio, but how are the crops shaping up? Find out with the 2026 Ohio Crop Tour, sponsored by Field Leader. Follow daily reports starting August 10th at ohioagnet.com as our scouts check corn and soybean fields across the state. Then join us at an Ohio Soybean Hometown Tour event to hear yield estimates and key observations firsthand. Learn more and RSVP at soyohio.org/hometown. That's soyohio.org/hometown. Today's market analysis is brought to you by Louis Dreyfus Company in Upper Sandusky, opening to receive soybeans starting September 1st. Ohio farmers plan to get your RFID tag the week of August 24th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. To find out more, call 419-731-7100. USDA reported yesterday that corn export commitments now total 3.424 billion bushels in 25-26. That's up 23% from a year ago. And USDA confirmed the sales of 132,000 metric tons of soybeans yesterday, delivery going to China during the 2026-27 marketing year. Let's see how the markets are shaping up at midday. Corn for September down 3.5 at 442 1/4. December 465 1/2 down 3 cents. August beans 3 cents higher at 11.80 1/4. New crop November 11.90 3/4 up 2 cents. September wheat 6.39 a bushel down 24 1/2. Live cattle higher by 40 to 75. The lean hogs higher by 70 to 92. This is the Ohio AgNet.